This is the 7th episode of the famous people who passed away in 1971 in the United States. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. Van Heflin. He was born in December 1910 and he died in July 1971. His age was 62 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. Van Heflin was an American theater, radio and film actor. He played mostly character parts over the course of his film career. But during the 1940s, he had a string of roles as a leading man. Heflin won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in Johnny Eager in 1942. He also had memorable roles in the westerns Shane 1953, 3 by 10, To Yuma in 1957, and Gunman's Walk in 1958. He portrayed a mentally disturbed airline passenger in the classic disaster film Airport in 1970, which was his final screen appearance. Prior to his acting career, Heflin was an accomplished seaman. Heflin began his acting career on Broadway in late 1920s. Heflin made his film debut in A Woman Rebels in 1936 opposite Katharine Hepburn, whom he played opposite in the stage version of the Philadelphia Story. He followed it with The Outcasts of Poker Flat in 1937, built third after Preston Foster and Jean Muir, and Flight from Glory in 1937, a Chester Morris programmer, where Heflin played an alcoholic pilot. On June 6, 1971, Heflin suffered a heart attack in his swimming pool. Cliff Edwards. He was born in June 1895 and he died in July 1971. His age was 76 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was arteriosclerosis. Cliff Edwards was an American musician and actor. He enjoyed considerable popularity in the 1920s and early 1930s, specializing in jazzy renditions of pop standards and novelty tunes. He had a number of hits with Singing in the Rain in 1929. He also did voices for animated cartoons later in his career, and he is best known as the voice of Jimmy Cricket in Walt Disney's Pinocchio in the 1940 and Fun and Fancy Free in 1947, Dandy Jim Crow in Walt Disney's Dumbo in 1941. He left school at the age of 14 and soon moved to St. Louis, Missouri and St. Charles, Missouri, where he entertained as a singer in saloons, as many places had pianos in bad shape or none at all. Edwards taught himself to play ukulele to serve as his own accompanist, choosing it because it was the cheapest instrument in the music shop. He was nicknamed Ukulele Ike by a club owner who could never remember his name. He got his first break in 1918 at the Arsonia Cafe in Chicago, Illinois, where he performed a song called Jada, written by the club's pianist Bob Carlton. Edwards and Carlton made it a hit on the vaudeville circuit. Edwards made his first phonograph records in 1919. Up Iwerks. He was born in March 1901 and he died in July 1971. His age was 70 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was heart attack. He was an American animator, cartoonist, character designer, inventor, and special effects technician known for his work with Walt Disney Animation Studios in general and for having worked on the development of the designs of the characters like Mickey Mouse and others. Born in Kansas City, Missouri, Iwerks met fellow artist Walt Disney while working at Kansas City Art Studio in 1919. After briefly working as an illustrator for local newspaper company, Disney and Iwerks ventured into animation together. Iwerks joined Disney as chief animator on the Laugh or Graham short series beginning in 1922, but a studio bankruptcy would cause Disney to relocate to Los Angeles in 1923. In the new studio, Iwerks continued to work with Disney on the Alice comedies as well as the creation of the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit character. Following the first Oswald shot, both Universal Pictures and the Winkler Picture Production Company insisted that Oswald's character be redesigned. At the instance of Disney, iWorks redesigned a number of new characters for the studio, including designs that would be used for Clarabelle Cow and Horace Horse Collar. Bill Thompson. He was born in July 1913 and he died in July 1971. His age was 58 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was septic shock. Bill Thompson was an American radio personality and voice actor whose career stretched from the 1930s until his death. He was a featured comedian playing multiple roles on the Fibber McGee and Molly radio series and was the voice of Droopy in most of the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer cartoon studio theatrical cartoons from 1943 to 1958. He began his career in Chicago radio, where his early appearances included as a regular on Don McNeil's morning variety series, The Breakfast Club, in 1934, and a St. Esquire member of the musical variety series, The Sinclair Weiner Minstrels, around 1937. While on the former series, Thompson originated a meek, mush-mouthed character occasionally referred to in publicity as Mr. Wempo. Thompson soon achieved his greatest fame after he joined the cast of the radio comedy Fibber McGee and Molly around 1936. Around 1943, however, Thompson's thriving career was interrupted when he joined the United States Navy during the Second World War, and all of his radio characters were temporarily dropped. Harry W. Hill. He was born in April 1890 and he died in July 1971. His age was 81 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was cancer. Harry W. Hill was a vice admiral in the United States Navy during the Second World War. After graduation from the Naval Academy, he served successively in the armored cruiser Maryland, torpedo boat Tender Iris, and destroyer Perry with the Pacific Flotilla, and as engineer officer of the protected cruiser Albany. Ordered to sea, Hill assumed command of heavy cruiser Wichita, which operated for several months on convoy duty with the British Home Fleet to North Russian port of Murmansk. Hill escorted a convoy that was reported on by Douglas Fairbanks Jr. in response to 4th of July greetings from the British convoy commander from the bridge of the British cruiser Norfolk. Many happy returns of the day. The United States is the only country with a known birthday. Hill replied, "Thank you. I think England should celebrate Mother's Day." Detached from command of Wichita on 28 September 1942, he reported as Commander Battleship Division 4, Maryland, flagship, serving a year in the South Pacific. He was also commander of a task force which was the first to comprise battleships and escort carriers. Diane Arbus. She was born in March 1923 and she died in July 1971. Her age was 48 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was overdose. Diane Arbus was an American photographer. She photographed a wide range of subjects including strippers, carnivals performers, nudists, people with dwarfism, children, mothers, couples, elderly people, and middle-class families. She photographed her subjects in familiar settings, their homes, on the street, in the workplace, in the park. She is noted for expanding notions of acceptable subject matter and violates canons of the appropriate distance between photographer and subject. By befriending, not objectifying her subjects, she was able to capture in her work a rare psychological intensity. In his 2003 New York Times Magazine article, Arbus reconsidered, Arthur Lebeau states, She was fascinated by people who were visibly creating their own identities: cross-dressers, nudists, sideshow performers, tattooed men, the new Woolriches, the movie star fans, and by those who were trapped in a uniform that no longer provided any security or comfort. In her lifetime, she achieved some recognition and renown with the publication, beginning in 1960, of photographs in such magazines as Esquire, Harper's Bazaar, London Sunday Times Magazine, and Art Forum. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.